I think there's a lot of Tottenham fans that are really upset. I'd be more upset with Ange and their players as opposed to Michael Oliver, who did give them a penalty and who did call their goal a goal. It was rolled off by VAR. I don't know why they're absolutely blaming the ref. Blame yourselves, blame some of your players, and blame your manager for selecting Ben Davies and Højbjerg and Werner. That's the way I see it.
Certainly that. Do you think, LB, there's an element here, just on James Maddison again, 1 goal in 7 months from him? And I know he had an injury, but this is the funniest comment of the day. I hope Declan Rice gets a month-long injury so Terry can say how bad he is. I know he was out for a month injured, but he's been back for 4 months now, James Maddison. That is long enough for an experienced player to get their groove back, which is just crazy. But LB, do you think Big Ange and his system, teams are sitting back a lot more against it now? They're working out how to nullify it. Do you think it's been sort of found out a little bit, or is this just about him not having a good enough squad?
It's not just about him having a good enough squad. Nah, that's not the only reason, man. It might be part of the reason. There are usually more than just one answer, but yeah, I think maybe teams have worked them out a little bit. Maybe they're just fading. Maybe they were overachieving earlier in the season. Do you know what I mean? Like, you had a lot of Tottenham fans earlier in the season were saying we're not as good as maybe the table was saying. I remember Hussam calling them imposters, which rattled quite a lot of Spurs fans. But maybe they just were overachieving.
Turns out he was right.
Well, maybe he was right, yeah, because sometimes that can happen. Sometimes you win like 5-6 games in a row, and you look back and say, "How bloody hell did we win that?" Like we were no good. But then eventually, like things normal themselves out. Usually, you can have a freak and someone can do a madness, but usually things normal themselves out over the course of a season. Maybe that's it. Maybe that's what's just happening. But you know, I've not watched a lot of Spurs this season. I can't lie. I was super disappointed with them in the North London derby. I really was. I thought, you know, they started well in terms of like having the ball, pushing Arsenal back, but as soon as they got the ball anywhere near Arsenal's penalty area, there was nothing. Timo Werner has proved to be a failed signing. I actually wasn't against that signing, and I was one of the few people that said,
"Really,
bro." The reason I wasn't against it is because it was a loan. But my point was, if he wasn't good, don't keep playing him. It was a loan signing with a £15 million buy option. And I thought, well, it's a loan signing. If he does well, sign him 15 million. What a bargain. If not, then it is what it is. He wasn't good enough. I think actually playing Son as a striker in this particular game was a mistake. I think there would have been much better playing him on the wing, where he can get on the ball and actually do something, because he was isolated. People say he ghosted, which he did, but I think it's mainly because he was isolated up top. I think he should have played left wing and not Werner. Don't get why he played Højbjerg. Davies was an absolute horror show at left back. You know what I mean? Saka put him in the blender for that goal. It was laughable. It really, really was.
So why, LB, are other Spurs fans not looking at that then? Because I don't hear many Spurs fans questioning that. I've heard a couple of the ones that I know that are good lads that have said, yeah, I don't know what was happening there. But a lot of them are looking at the referee. I don't get it.
Look at this here from young Daniel. Spurs fan comes on our show. He says, Terry, this is wrong. We dominated Arsenal. They only made chances off set pieces and the ref being an idiot. That's how a lot of Spurs fans...
I'll tell you now, yeah, as a City fan who would have loved to agree with you because, you know, it benefits my club. That goal that you scored that was offside. And the penalty, in my opinion, is one of those. Like, I think we need to have a proper conversation about whether or not accidental fouls or whatever are actual fouls. Because like sometimes people say, well, it was accidental. Well, is that a foul then or not? We need to just have that proper conversation, have an open conversation about it. Say, if it's a foul, it's a foul. Are we going to start giving fouls for accidents? Maybe. The guy didn't go down. Like, should he have to go down? No, but we've known this for the last two decades.
What I find interesting is that Bukayo Saka in the Champions League beats Manuel Neuer to a ball who flicks his leg out trying to win it. And there was a huge debate over it. His foot's planted, whether Saka could have got out of the way, yes or no. People are saying that the Spurs one on Kulusevski was more of a penalty. And I'm like, you can argue it's a penalty, but it isn't more a penalty because was it Trossard?
Yeah, Trossard.
Trossard made no attempt to win the ball. He was just standing behind him, and it was Kulusevski's leg that clipped it that made him fall over. That's less a penalty than the Saka one, but yet the Saka one got far more attention towards, well, this, yeah, I do agree with you. It was accidental. I've never felt that if two players are running near each other and their legs accidentally clip each other, I've always felt that shouldn't be a foul because I don't understand There's no foul. You're not trying to win the ball. You're not trying to impede him. It's an accident. If two players go up to win a header and you accidentally clash heads, no one gets done. Even if you're late, you don't get done for accidental clash of heads. So why do you when it's your legs? I've never understood that law, to be fair.
This claim that they dominated us, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, lads, but other than Raya passing the ball to Romero so that he could score, what did Raya do to keep the ball out the net much? I didn't see much happening at our goal that Tottenham dominated play.
No,
what did they dominate? I don't really get it.
They had chances, 100%. I think Romero could have had a hat-trick that day. He had chances. But ultimately, when they did get the ball forward, they didn't really create a great deal. Yeah, this is what I'm saying. Yeah. And at the end of the day, like, it was just poor from Spurs. Like, you can blame the ref. Yeah, you can blame whatever. But ultimately, your set-piece defending was absolutely abysmal. And the counter-attacking goal you conceded with Davies, who was shocking. I mean, it's just like you found yourself 3-0 down because you can see 3 poor goals. You need to be looking at that and like such poor defending. Like I said, I wanted you to win. I wanted you to win the game. So if there was any chance I could sit here and defend you and like Arsenal robbed it, I would. But I genuinely can't say it. You've been robbed because I just don't think
it's like Romero could have scored. Yeah, Saka could have scored. It's clipped into him. It was saved by Vicario. He didn't score.
Yeah, like I feel like
we could have scored goals.
I feel like the opening 20 minutes, they Arsenal looked a little nervous. They caught you in possession a few times. They had some good counters. There was those Romero opportunities. Outside of that, they drifted away. And to answer a man like Dan again, young Daniel, we call him, or D Mizzy, as his name is here, they didn't clip each other. Trossard clipped Kulu. Well, no, they didn't. Trossard didn't make any movement of his leg towards Kulusevski. Kulusevski's trailing leg went backwards because he was running, and it clipped. They clipped each other. There was no intent from either one of them to try and make contact. There was no intent from Trossard to try and win the ball when he got in the way. That, for me, is an accident. Imagine it's the other way around, and as a player runs, his leg come up, and he studs someone in the shins. Is that a shin high tackle? Should that be treated like a studs high tackle on the shin? No, it's an accident. You never get in trouble. I don't like it as a rule. Trossard didn't for Trossard to have clipped him, he'd have to flick out his leg like a trip. Then it would have been a penalty. But yeah, because there was no attempt, I get why it wasn't given.
I understand why they're upset. They've lost the North London derby, and it was their cup final. It was their chance to ruin our title, and they blew it. I understand why they're upset, but let's just look at the game. Take your Tottenham hat off and your Arsenal hat off. Like, my God, it was basically a goalkeeper passing the ball to their centre half, who why the hell he was up there, I don't know, by the way. And then it's a penalty that gets them back into the game. They had to rely on that. They were poor in front of goal, defensively shocking. The manager got it wrong. The team selection was poor. We can keep going if you want. I don't really know what else you want us to say.
Yeah, I mean,
they have to be very good to win the game.
It's true, and Spurs. Look, I think. Look, Spurs have had a very good, a good season. They're still in top 4 contention. They've done better than many people thought they would. Big Ange has done better than people thought they would, but there's a lot of food for thought around how now to go to that next level. And Basuma started the season well, but has died a death. There was talk about him being better than Rice. He's not. Madison started well. He has died a death, especially as more teams are sitting back against Spurs now. And this year, I always say this about players that look good in smaller teams. And I don't mean Spurs, I mean Leicester. Is they often don't play against deep sitting teams, so they have more space to run into. They have more room to perform in. You suddenly put them in a team where they've suddenly got two midfielders and centre backs to maneuver themselves against. It's a different level of football player. I look at so many individuals that are just not performing. That isn't necessarily on Ange. I look at his high line and I just think people are working out where it's vulnerable, how to break it down. That's why you've conceded more goals than Manchester United this season. And we're having an abysmal year. There's so much for Spurs fans, I think, have got to get away from we're better than this team. We've got a better starting 11 than them. We'll be up doing this next year. They need to focus on their team and their squad getting better. Because right now they're a good team, Tottenham, but there's no guarantees of top 4, like top 4 again next year. If Villa improve again, no one knows what Man United and Chelsea will be next year. There could be improvements. Newcastle again. There's a lot of work for Chelsea Spurs to do. But I think some of their fans live on cloud cuckoo land.
100%.
I mean, it was only about 4 weeks ago. There were Spurs fans that come on our show, like Will Stewart, saying if you look at the underlying metrics of Arsenal and Spurs, my belief is that we will finish above Arsenal in the league this season. 20-point gap. Now, I know stats can tell you some of the story, but your eye test has got to tell you some of the story as well. And I don't understand what some Spurs fans are looking at. Spurs fans have been good this year. Some Spurs have been good this year. But again, the way they talk about their team, you would think they were in title contention with City. It's weird to me.
Listen, they're obsessed. They're obsessed with things around them. They need to be obsessed with their club. That's what needs to happen. They need to stop trying to force all these players into everyone's combined 11s. They need to stop worrying about that. Who gets on the right hand side here? Oh, I tell you what, if you play this formation, we'll get an extra one and these Spurs players in our combined 11. Who gives a damn? Go and win some trophies. Yeah, stop trying to force people into your combined 11s. Go and get used to your team. Start doing that because that's what Tottenham get bantered about. So go and start winning trophies because it's an embarrassment now.
You've only won one trophy with this manager. What are you talking about?
Don't talk to me about that. Don't talk to me about history and trophies, LB. Don't talk to me about that because that's what I'm talking about. This club have not won a Premier League since the 60s, bro. Right? So let's just stop that. Yeah, or it wasn't even called the Premier League. That's how long ago it was. Right? So let's go there. Now what we'll do is we'll start talking about how they celebrate trying to win the game to ruin our title, and now it's like, oh, we lost. Throw the toys out of the pram. I'll tell you what we'll do. I hope it's 4 or 5-0 against Man City now. Concentrate on yourself, man. You're supposed to be trying to get in the top 4, which is the equivalent of a trophy for you guys. So go do that. Because the last time Spurs were in a title, it was against Leicester. And what did we do? We beat Leicester home and away that year. We didn't roll over for them, yeah, so that Leicester could win the league. We beat them twice. So all this crud just gets ridiculous, in my opinion. They're a team with an awful mentality. That's what they are.
Spurs fans are proving something that Lee Gunner used to say. I don't think he's correct across every team in the country. But I believe in Spurs instance, when we just look at it through a Spurs lens, there's a lot of Spurs fans with this attitude of they would rather miss out on Champions League football and Arsenal not win the league. Where if you are an ambitious club, Arsenal winning the league is going to hurt, but it should also motivate you. But if you're in the Champions League next year, if you've got the ambition, that gives you the chance. That gives you the chance and the opportunity of winning one of the biggest trophies in the world. Why would you not want to be in there? Why would you? That for me is crazy. I said earlier on in the season, we're not good enough to get there. I wanted to make it. Me and Staffy had a big debate about this. And my view was, you never know how good or bad you're going to be next year. And it's a knockout competition. You know, if Big Ange gets back this summer and you can maintain your opening 10 to 15 games of the season for the majority of the campaign, who knows what you could do in a knockout competition? You don't know. But the fact that Spurs fans would willingly, and I've heard a rumor that there are fans that have written like letters to the club saying, please throw the game. It's only on Twitter. It's not been verified. But the fact that that's your mentality, that gets into your dressing room. That seeps into your dressing room that it's okay to lose. And the fans play a big part in that. It's great that you should not be. I know some people will say, but Terry, you want Arsenal to beat Man United so they win the league. If we were competing for something that could either win us a trophy this year or lead to a big trophy next year, I wouldn't want that. We're not fighting for anything. So there is nothing it's not going to impact our season, that Arsenal game. It could massively impact Tottenham's. And the fact they're willing to roll over is a madness to me.
D Mizzy sent an email. D Mizzy sent an email. I've sent an email. Is that real? Is that for real?
He sent an email.
Is that Dan guy that you just said? I've sent an. Oh my god.
What's he sent an email about?
He sent an email to ask the club to lose to Man City.
Mizzy. He's my best watcher, this guy. Yo, big up D Mizzy. Someone give the membership. Someone give the membership to this guy, man. Why is this guy not a member? Someone give him a membership.
What will probably happen, because it's so Spursy, they'll probably bloody draw or beat Man City. That's what'll happen. That's what'll be Spursy about.
Wow.
Even LB's worried. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. The other thing I would say is by the time we play them, the top 4 race might be over because Villa play twice.
It will be, mate. It will be, mate.
So if Aston Villa beat Brighton, which
that's
probably
true.
will,
if it's over by then, but it's going to be over by then because that's what they're all saying. I've seen the fan cams. I think it was man like tapping toes was like basically over anyway. Like you're saying that you're putting that. I said it to Gooners that your team stood up when you were all like after the Villa defeat. Oh, it's all over now. Oh, season's done. I just looked at you all and thought, weak. You mean fight to the end? Go die on that like. I can't understand it. I can't understand it. Like, go out fighting. Come on now.